This video was sponsored by CuriosityStream. When you sign up at the link in the description, you now also get free access to Nebula, a new video streaming platform I and a bunch of your favorite educational YouTubers have built for ourselves. In early 2018, the United States Department of Defense announced it would start centralizing its over 500 different external cloud computing contracts, together with its countless own servers, including the ones they ran in the fields from military vehicles and backpacks, all into one centralized system. This gigantic project would move parts of the DoD's computing and data storage into the massive server farms that commercial cloud computing providers like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google operate. The goal? To let members of the military access crucially important information seamlessly, whether they are on a mission or in a back office, as well as to give them easy access to advanced technologies like artificial intelligence. A critical step in making the US military competitive as war moves to the information age. The project became known as the JEDI Cloud Contract, short for Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure, despite rather disappointingly having nothing to do with lightsabers, and was supposed to be awarded to a single contractor. Whoever ended up winning it would be awarded one of the largest deals in enterprise IT ever, all on its own, as the budget of this project alone was supposed to be $10 billion over 10 years, which was only going to be the tip of the iceberg. See, if the JEDI contractor did well, other US government agencies, who are just starting their move to the cloud as well, would likely consider the same company. And according to analysts, those would spend another $100 billion on their move. For context, that is more than the entire yearly cloud revenue of the three leaders, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, combined. But even if they did poorly, the contractor would probably still make way more than $10 billion, as systems like these, once deployed, are so sticky they are essentially impossible to quit. Just ask the US Navy, who contracted out some of its own systems to a private company, apparently hated what they received in return, but just had to keep paying them billions to maintain it for over a decade. So the JEDI contract is obviously a huge deal. It's arguably one of the largest enterprise IT contracts that have ever existed. And so in the 61st episode of the Story Behind series, I'll be taking a closer look at the messy corporate dogfight it has resulted in. The story of JEDI starts back in 2013, when the CIA became one of the first major government agencies to embrace the cloud. The agency, unsurprisingly, chose Amazon Web Services as its preferred cloud provider, as Amazon was by far the dominant cloud player back then with a staggering 83% market share. The budget of $600 million pales in comparison to the $10 billion JEDI deal, but the goals and the scope of the two projects are remarkably similar. Both were planned to last for 10 years, and the goal of the CIA too was to move many of its internal systems to a so-called private cloud. That essentially meant the CIA could stop buying and maintaining their own servers and would instead rent the necessary computing power, storage, etc. on the fly from Amazon, who would own the hardware and operate it from a special Amazon data center for them. And the deal appears to have been a massive success, with the CIA claiming that it made them more flexible, more agile, it saved them money, and it gave them access to advanced features like artificial intelligence that come built in with AWS. So 5 years later, when the Department of Defense was getting ready to make its own move to the cloud with JEDI, it was therefore expected that Amazon, who still is the clear market leader, would win that contract too. In fact, the project was initially tailored so closely for Amazon that all four of its competitors, so Microsoft, Google, Oracle, and IBM, desperately wanted it to be split up into multiple bits, as they saw that as the only way for them to get at least a small piece of the pie. IBM and Oracle even filed official complaints and a lawsuit claiming that it wasn't a fair, open-ended bid, but they all got rejected and nothing much changed. The Department of Defense maintained that it wanted one supplier to reduce complexity, and that supplier increasingly seemed to be Amazon. Apparently the only contestant with the right security certifications, experience, and scale to do it all alone. Seeing the hopeless situation, competitors started dropping out. First, Google announced in October of 2018 that it would stop pursuing the project because it, quote, didn't align with their AI principles of not designing AI for injuring people. Whether it really came down to their principles, or them simply not seeing any realistic chance of winning anyway, especially after employee protests forced them to back out of other military contracts just months earlier, we'll never know. And after Google quit, the Department of Defense announced in April of 2019 that proposals from IBM and Oracle were lacking too, and that they were out of the race as well. That's not a huge surprise given that both were having significantly smaller cloud operations that could probably only cover parts of what the DoD was expecting. But either way, it meant that now only Microsoft and Amazon were in the race. And by any estimation, the deal was clearly going to Amazon. After all, beside their prior experience with the CIA and the fact that they were the clear leader in terms of both features and market share, Amazon also had what's called Impact Level 6 certification, the highest level security certification of the DoD, allowing them to handle top secret data which Microsoft did not have. The race apparently wasn't even close. But then in August, just weeks before the inevitable announcement was due, something unexpected happened. President Donald Trump personally ordered a revision of the deal. According to his public statement, he was worried that it, quote, wasn't a competitive bid. Apparently, in private, he was a little more blunt, asking people to, quote, screw Amazon by denying them the deal. An idea he ironically probably got from Oracle lobbyists who worked hard to remind him that Amazon was in fact owned by Jeff Bezos, who Trump openly despised for owning the Washington Post, a newspaper that is often highly critical of the president. So Mark Esper, the Secretary of Defense Trump had just appointed weeks before, started the revision of the JEDI contract and after a few months of relative silence, announced in October that it would be awarded to Microsoft. All $10 billion of it. As you might expect, the details of this announcement, together with the endless reporting about Trump repeatedly interfering with other deals of companies that displease him, like the AT&T and Time Warner merger for example, and the fact that the Secretary of Defense was a former lobbyist for private defense contractors who had just been handpicked for the position by the president, caused plenty of people to suspect that something was fishy. Microsoft, who was up until then complaining about all the biased selection criteria, of course promptly stopped complaining and started celebrating instead. But Amazon and the Washington Post in particular were quick to call out what they thought was, quote, unmistakable bias and, quote, political influence. In other words, they blamed the lost deal on Trump's personal vendetta against Bezos for the Washington Post's coverage and filed a protest with the federal courts. Whether Amazon can prove in court that the decision was indeed politically motivated remains to be seen, but one thing is for sure. Whether through luck, clever lobbying, or a technology stack that has in fact rapidly been catching up with Amazon, Microsoft has won one of the world's most influential IT projects ever, and will most likely win many more large projects in the future because of it. Now, this video might have been a little different from what you're used to on my channel. I usually avoid topics like the military because those things tend to get you demonetized here on YouTube. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this very video got demonetized as well. And this constant automated unpredictability is a big reason why I and a bunch of other really amazing educational YouTubers have started our own video streaming platform called Nebula. We have people like Real Engineering, Wendover Productions, Polymatter, and many more. Nebula is built and owned by us, the creators, and beyond putting all of our regular YouTube videos on here, ad-free of course, and usually a little earlier than here on YouTube, a bunch of Nebula creators have also started making really good original content on the platform as well. Videos covering the architecture of ancient Rome by City Beautiful, or a series explaining the logistics of D-Day from Real Engineering, for example. Nebula makes it possible for us to create even better content for you without the constant worry of demonetization and thinking about the capricious YouTube algorithm, and I think you guys will love it. Now, in the beginning I said that this video was actually sponsored by CuriosityStream, and that's where things get even better. Because CuriosityStream, which of course is the service for watching high-quality documentaries online, likes our project so much, they have decided to give everyone who signs up to their service using my link in the description free access for Nebula. So for a $20 yearly subscription, you get unlimited access to both Nebula and all of CuriosityStream's library of thousands of documentaries on anything from wildlife to technology. They will simply send you an email with sign-up info for Nebula once you get your CuriosityStream subscription, and you are good to go. So whether you want to support your favorite creators and watch our videos a few days earlier without ads, or watch a documentary on, I don't know, the birth of the solar system, you can now get both for just $20 for a full year. Check it out, and I'll see you in the next one.